Manchester is red after a derby win at the Etihad. A late winner from Amad Diallo and the transformation of Man United tactically from Amorim have given the fans a lot to celebrate. So how is Ruben Amorim actually fixing Man United? In this episode, I'll deep dive into how Amorim's tactics nearly solved Man United's defensive issues against Man City, why Amad Diallo is now irreplaceable, and finally, the last thing that Ruben Amorim has to fix in possession. If you love tactical breakdowns and a hint of data analytics, make sure to like this video and hit the subscribe button for future releases. In my Manchester Derby preview, which if you haven't watched already, make sure to check out before watching this video, I explored the 3 key ways to exploit Ruben Amorim's Man United defensive structure. And they were to expose the wide areas, especially down Amad's side, to separate the 2 centre midfielders and play directly through Manchester United, and also the one that causes the most problems, their set pieces. Ruben Amorim nearly fixed all of them. But let's jump into the wide areas being exposed and how he fixed Man United's high press and mid-block structure. In previous games, Man United have had issues in the high press, and specifically opposition trying to play their way around the structure and doing it quite easily. And in the mid-block, the 2 central midfield players had too much responsibility to trap the attacking midfielders of the opposition team, which dragged them further apart and created big gaps in the middle of the pitch. Now, the difference against Man City was the change of their shape, especially of the attacking players, and the roles handed out to Martinez and Mazraoui when pressing high. And jumping into the visual, you can see as Ederson has the ball, it's the 2 attacking midfielders that are high and ready to press the opposition centre-backs. And the key difference is the role and positioning of both Mainoo and Højlund in that front 4. Diallo already initiates the press and curves his run, blocking the ball out to Núñez. And that triggers Mainoo to press high alongside Gvardiol and Højlund to block off the pass to Gundogan, and Fernandes is on the other side, ready to press in case it gets switched. And as Doku enters the frame, you can see the other subtle change that Amorim made. It's Mazraoui that's man-marking him into the centre of the pitch. As Ederson passes this ball to Kyle Walker, this was the kind of scenario that was hurting Man United in previous games. The opposition winger would pin Diallo on that side, and that will create a large gap for someone to receive in that space behind Bruno Fernandes. But what Amorim has tweaked in this game is he gave a man-marking job to the centre-backs, specifically Martinez and the right wing-back in Mazraoui. And in this situation, it's Kevin De Bruyne making a lovely run, creating an option to receive on the ball. It's Martinez that's been given a man-marking job for anyone that runs into that area. And that aggressiveness in the man-marking from Martinez means that there's no easy outball for Man City, and they're blocked in down that right-hand side, which leaves only an aerial ball to Haaland, which if you're asking Man United, they would prefer that with both Maguire and De Ligt, both capable in the physical duels. And as the ball gets played forward, it's a loose pass, not quite reaching Haaland, and it's cut out by Diallo. And what Amorim has done is he's created a system where there's 2 units to this press. You have the attacking 4, which was Højlund, Bruno and Amad, plus one of the centre midfielders joining, blocking the passes into the central areas. And when it goes wide, if it goes beyond them, you have the backline and Ugarte as cover. And the second problem that Amorim fixed was in the mid-block, when the 2 centre midfielders were getting separated too far apart. But in this visual, you can see what they changed. Man City have the ball and they have the 5 at the back, but instead of having a flat midfield 4, Amad tucked in beside Højlund. And that created a sort of 3-2 structure in that midfield and attacking unit. And as Kevin De Bruyne receives that ball in the wide area, you can see how condensed it is down that side. Bruno's the closest player to him, Ugarte's screening that pass into Foden, and Amad's tucked in on Gvardiol, who tucked in centre midfield in this game. And as the ball gets recycled back to Gundogan, you can see how tight that midfield unit is. They're about 15 yards apart from Bruno Fernandes through to Amad, and they're really trying to restrict space down the side the ball is on. And what Amorim changed was the shape and where he wanted numerical superiority for his team. Now this structure had some risk to it. He stopped that ball being penetrated through the middle of the pitch, but it led to numerous scenarios where if that ball was switched out wide to Doku, he had a 1v1 situation against Mazraoui. And overall, Mazraoui did well. And if we look at the data, and specifically the non-penalty expected goals against, you can see there's been a gradual improvement in the statistics. In his first game against Ipswich, the non-penalty expected goals against was at 1.6, all the way through to Man City in the latest game where it dropped to 0.9. And if you look at the Arsenal game, that expected goals against from non-penalty situations was 2.2, but the majority of them was set pieces, which we'll come on to later. And the average non-penalty expected goals against is 1.22 in his 5 Premier League games so far. And if you compare that to the non-penalty expected goals against this season for the rest of the Premier League, that would have Man United as the 6th best defensive unit in the league. Amorim has been tactically flexible and solved issues by the game, especially in open play. But it's set pieces where he continues to have issues with this Man United team. And if we look back at the goal they conceded, it's not even a good corner from Man City. It's played short, deflected into the box, and both Højlund and Diallo get caught either under the ball or don't even compete with Guardiola. And that goal encapsulated that it's not a tactical thing, it's a personnel thing that might persist for the rest of the season. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and stay tuned for what Man United need to improve in possession. Now, there's one player that has stood out amongst all Man United players and has become the talisman for Ruben Amorim, and that is Amad Diallo. Now, in my Derby preview episode, I discussed whether Amorim was going to play Amad at right wing back or do what he did against Arsenal, which is play 2 traditional fullbacks in the wing-back positions. Now, the clever alteration that Amorim made in this game against Man City was he played the 2 traditional fullbacks in the wing-back positions, but he played Amad in the right attacking midfielder spot and gave him license to drift out wide when Man United had possession of the ball. And especially with Doku on that side, it was such a clever tactic from Amorim. He kept that defensive balance with Mazraoui being fairly decent in 1v1 situations, but he kept the attacking balance with Diallo being able to drift out wide into his favoured position and create havoc from there. And one of the other benefits of playing Amad in the attacking midfielder role rather than out wide was his running off the ball. And it was seen for the final goal in the last minutes of the game. As Martinez picks up this ball, Amad spots this is a perfect situation for him to make a run. But the cleverness here is Amad's second run. He makes that initial run and sees that it might stray offside and curves it again closer to Gvardiol and runs directly again in behind. But Amad's brilliance doesn't stop there. The touch. How does he keep this so close? Outside of his boot, on the bounce, to draw it away from Ederson as well. And then to hit it on the bounce, on the angle. It's an open goal and everyone might think that's the easy part of it, the finish. But to hit it on the bounce and keep it controlled was fantastic from Amad. And Gvardiol probably should clear this ball. He might have a better chance of clearing it with his right foot than some sort of back heel flick that he attempts. But it's the technique, the attacking intent from Amad that dragged Man United back into this game. And if you look at the stats in that game, he had 10 progressive carries. It's the most of any player on the pitch. And the next for Man United was 2. And that shows a difference in the kind of intent that he had in that game, driving at opposition, causing danger for Man City. He had 8 take-ons, 5 of them were successful. That's the highest attempted of any Man United player. And he had 4 shot-creating actions in the game as well, tied with Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden. Amad has truly become the most irreplaceable player in this Man United team. Now, defensively, Man United have improved under Ruben Amorim, but he's also developed clear structures of play when in possession of the ball. They're looking more and more comfortable each game in the early build-up phase. That's the one where you're trying to progress the ball through the opposition's press. But it's that ability to convert that early possession into chances created, which is the next step for Ruben Amorim to develop. Now, what Man United have been good at so far in previous games is that early build-up and finding the likes of Mainu and Agate in the defensive midfield positions in behind that attacking press. And as you can see from this quick visual, Man United have the ball with Maguire in the middle centre-back role. Man City are pressing in a 4-3-3 shape with the number 8s tasked with pressing out wide to the wing back. But as Mazraoui receives this ball from Maguire directly, you can see the kind of space that Mainu is able to pick up in behind Foden, and this happened numerous times in the game. And as you can see from this visual, it's what they do when they get to the edge of the box that needs a bit more refinement and a clearer structure of play to create chances. Bruno Fernandes switches that ball out wide to Diallo, and Diallo feels like he's ready to take on Kyle Walker 1v1. And as he does that, he cuts inside, creates a yard of space. And in this situation here, you can see Mounts on the edge of the box. Amad's barely making any sort of run on the edge of the box as well. And it's Højlund isolated 1v1, marked pretty well. And it's an overhit cross by Diallo at that as well. But even if it was an overhit, he's only got 1 target to hit in the box. And that's where Man United need to crash the box with numbers to get more of a chance to get a chance on goal. And it's something that Amorim must have spoken about at half-time, because they definitely had more intent to get into the box from crossing situations. And you can see from this visual, Diallo passes the ball back to Fernandes, who's in the half space, time and space to cross it into the box. And you have the likes of Mazraoui, the opposite wing back, crashing the box at the back post. Amad and Højlund making runs against two Man City defenders. And that's the kind of situation that Amorim will probably want to develop as he gets more and more matches under his belt. And Amorim spoke of controlling the game in his post-match interview. And I thought that was very interesting because we're used to Man United being a bit chaotic, relying on individual moments of brilliance, having the freedom to move wherever they want, press however they want. But now they have a clearly defined structure both in and out of possession. And this is only after 5 Premier League games and a couple of Europa League games. The most impressive thing that Man United fans should be happy about under Ruben Amorim is how quickly he sees the issues and fixes them in the next game. And that should stand him in great stead for the rest of the season. Now make sure to check out a couple of my other tactical breakdowns from other Premier League teams this season. And like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And I'll see you on the next episode of A Game of Two Halves.